actually, I'm a mime artist. I started doing mime back in 1978. And I just use it. I've traveled internationally with it. And doing stuff on the streets is always fun. You know, a lot of stuff I do is in the theaters, but on the street, I have a thing about being among the people. Art should be among the people, you know, so people can really enjoy it instead of having just those who can afford to see it. So it's kind of like, just get out here and have fun with it. You know? One thing I've noticed about Knoxville is there's a higher respect here for it. I lived here for 18 years, moved away for 11 and came back, just been here a little over a couple of years. And even in that time span, I've seen a difference in it. You know, there's a little bit more respect for it, there's an appreciation more for it than when I first started doing it here. You know, and so comparing it, I was in another city just the other night, and there was a lot of, you know, pulling, pushing, hitting, trying to scratch makeup off and stuff like that. And in Knoxville, they leave you alone, they respect you, and they have fun with it. So there's good respect. The hardest part, the heat or the cold. That's about it. You know, I did it all through the winter, but that's about it. Things you can't control. You know, this is one of the ones, me and the guy who did Spider-Man, he and I were the ones that kind of got together on it because they ticketed him, me, they warned me not to ever come back again. So I wrote all the commissioners, wrote the paper and everything. We got the ball rolling and got it all changed. So, you know, we never really had a problem with only but one policeman. All the others respected us and said, we like what you're doing, and this one all of a sudden decided to crack down. But it won't be that. We got the law changed now. I'm more of a performance artist, so this part is busking, of course. But I do other things. Like I said, I do mime, I do theater stuff. I'm a choreographer, I do dance. Just whatever my mind thinks of. Because I know my abilities, and I'm not saying it to be arrogant. You know, I know if I do a good performance, I know if I do a bad performance. And I'm probably my own worst critic. You know, when I'm standing here, I'm paying attention to myself, and if I blink, I get upset. You know, if I do something wrong, I'm watching my body movements. If I do something wrong, I'm my critic, you know. On the other hand, when I'm standing here and I'm doing my best and I'm not blinking, which I don't blink, and somebody says, I saw him blink and I know I didn't, that aggravates me. It's like, why are you saying that? I mean, I'm doing a great job. Why are you saying it just to make yourself look good, you know? So yeah, there's that give and take. One thing that one code that we do live by is making sure we keep our distance from each other. Because there's no need to being so close to each other that you're trying to steal somebody else's audience, you know? So there's, you know, it's not a set distance, but we'll always look around and go, who am I close to, who am I far from, where's a good place, you know? Sometimes we have new artists that maybe aren't experienced, and they'll come and get very close to you know, and you realize that that's not cool, you know, because you're actually trying to steal my audience, and that's not the way it works, you know? One rule of thumb that it's like an unspoken rule that I don't see observed here is that if a street artist or a street performer makes you stop and look, you should give him money. You owe him money. You know, I don't see that a lot here. Did it overseas, did it internationally, and that's like a rule of thumb. If you do something that makes people stop, you know, okay, I'll give him money because he caught my attention. You know, if they walk right by, then you know you're not doing a job. I wish we could have more areas. I mean, I like Market Square. I mean, there's the law that says, you know, you can't block traffic. You know, but I feel like there's a limited area. Market Square is pretty much it, you know, which is cool. I love Market Square, you know. But I don't know, when there's other events, I wish it was more open. Like if there's something in the World's Fair Park that we could go down there and just, because we're not bothering anybody, you know. And we're not out here begging people for money. You know, it's not like we're bothering, harassing people. I just wish it was a little more open in that sense, you know. Like I said, I love Market Square. I mean, I come down here when I'm not in costume just to hang out. I just like the arts. This is about maybe 15 minutes. When I do my full copper statue, not the copper, the brass statue, it takes anywhere about 20, 30 minutes. You know, but I've gotten it down now, so it's pretty fast. You know, I know my time frame, and just pretty much just do it because I know where I'm going, what I'm doing with it, and go.
A lot of these guys are down here on a regular basis, and we're down here on a kind of a regular basis, so we've seen several of the shows. It just brings an extra, I don't know, a little something extra to the area, you know, something for people to see and do that they may not ever see, you know, sitting home in front of their television.
Y'all gonna dance this time or y'all gonna play around? Y'all gonna dance? No, you gotta dance for me first. Y'all dancing? Well, put your drink down, because I'm gonna lose your drink. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3, 4.
My show started in Athens, Georgia, about 5 years ago, and traveled around to different spots throughout Georgia, downtown, you know, Little Five Points, Helen, Georgia, which is great. It's like a little German town out in the middle of nowhere. Asheville, New Orleans a couple of times, and you know, now I like it here. I think I like the people the most. It's because I guess they get my humor and they're generous. Plus, there's tons of room to perform. You know, when you're performing, at least on the street, you get that instant feedback. Whereas I think it's lacking on stage. I think people are more polite on stage. Where I've done stage shows, which I'm not really a stage magician, but I've done my act on stage to people who like came and they're like waiting for a magic show and they're like, oh. And I just didn't like the whole thing, waiting around to perform and like, oh, I go on in an hour and a half, it gets pushed back, whatever. Right after I did my show, I came out to the streets, did a massive show, loved it. I think I went back to check out the rest of the show later, you know, it's just like, I just like the energy. And you get to feel all different types of shows. You can have a horrible show and be like, man, I'm the worst. And then right after that, you can do an amazing show where you're like, that was the best show I've ever had. Which is great, you know. I've been performing my street show for 5 years. I play along, like sometimes my show gets a little edgy and I'll do things that you don't know if they're gonna work out or not. You know, if I take a bite out of somebody's ice cream while they're watching the show, that may get you punched. Or people are gonna love it because it's insane. But one time there's a lot of motorized wheelchairs in Knoxville. I think it's the capital of motorized wheelchairs. And sometimes I'll play with that, and I pulled out a remote control, and I looked at the lady, and I started, you know, pretending like I was controlling her wheelchair. Well, the crowd turns around, and they bust out laughing. You know, they're like, this is hilarious. And the lady turns around out of her scooter or whatever and looks, and she sees what I'm doing, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And she starts spinning around in circles, and the crowd just dies, like, hysterically. And I had people coming up to me like 2 weeks later, I still can't believe that happened, but that's one of the, you know, doesn't happen all the time stories. But I like that you can improv a lot more and you have different things to play with on the street that you don't get in the theater. It doesn't really happen too much anymore, but no, I mean, it doesn't. You know, my show's gotten solid. I'll still have slow days or slow shows, but I could always learn something from it, you know. But a lot of times, I really just like to have a good show, you know? Like yesterday I did a small show and I made more money than the bigger show, but I was more proud of the bigger show that I felt like my timing was right and like things flowed better, it was a little funnier. Even though I made more money, you know, it was nice at the end of the day, but still I just like the timing. I like to do a good show, basically. I still do shows on the side and stuff, but I don't really say, you know, I'm just a magician, because there's so much more to it than the magic tricks out on the show, out on the street, where it's like about entertainment and having a good time. Because if I was so serious about my magic out here, I don't know, I think people want to laugh and have a good time in general. And the magic, it's got to be good as well, but I just like having a good time out here. So yeah, definitely street performer, busker, street entertainer. I think Knoxville is doing a great job. Really, I have nothing bad to say about the police here, or you know, or any of the enforcement. It was a little stricter when I first got in here, but now, I mean, there's a human statue right there. His face is covered, and nobody's scared. You know, I think they took care of that a while ago, and I haven't had any problems, really. I mean, the police are nice. Sometimes I'll say something during a show, and somebody will complain to the police about it, thinking that I can't say something, and then I talk to the police about it and they're like, you know, I mean, you may offend people by saying that, but I mean, do your show. Really, I mean, I don't really try out of my way to piss people off, but it does happen just with anything. If you're gonna have 300 people watching your show, somebody's gonna be like, I didn't like that, that wasn't how I want to see it. which is fine. But they can walk away anytime they like, you know. It's not like I'm assaulting anybody or anything, you know. But no, I mean, it's great. Well, I mean, there is a street performer code. A lot of people don't really follow it out here, and I don't make too big of a deal about it. But, you know, we like to set up a certain distance apart from each other. There's some guys who come out here sometimes that I've seen, and they'll amp up, set up in the middle, and blast their, you know, music, where it's like, really? Why do you need an amp? I think bad performers amp up, unless you need it, you know, like, if this was 3 times as packed and they had music playing, I may need an amp. But if you don't need it and it's dead out here, if you're blasting your music, nobody else is going to be able to do anything because nobody can hear me. And you're not making money anyway doing whatever you're doing. But, I mean, no, that's it. I mean, people just respect each other, and we can all come out here and have a good time.
I'm fighting off my demons, but they're not quite dead. With their single-barrel shotgun and Johnny Walker Red. But when the bottle is empty, all the guns to my head, and I regret every step. And I'm sorry for the things that I said when I was drunk. I didn't mean it then. And I hope you lied when you whispered goodbye through teary eyes. Hear that? And I've been flipping through sketches you drew. Some of them are shining and some of them are good. Oh, because one day I'm a sweetheart and the next I abuse, and you're so confused. Oh, what's and I'm sorry for the things that I said when I was drunk. I didn't mean it then. And I hope you lied when you whispered goodbye through teary eyes. And I'm sorry for the things that I said when I was drunk. I didn't mean it then. I hope you lied when you whispered goodbye through teary eyes. Sorry for the things that I said when I was drunk. I didn't mean it then. I hope you lied when you whispered goodbye through teary eyes. Whispered goodbye through teary eyes. I'm fighting off my demons, but they're not quite dead.
Well, actually, I'm a mime artist. I started doing mime back in 1978, and I just use it. I travel internationally with it, and doing stuff on the streets is always fun. You know, a lot of the stuff I do is in the theaters, but on the street, I have a thing about being among the night, and there was a lot of, you know, pulling, pushing, hitting, trying to scratch makeup off and stuff like that. And in Oxford, they leave you alone, they respect you, and they have fun with it. So there's good respect. The hardest part, the heat or the cold. That's about it. You know, I did it all through the winter, but that's about it. Things you can't control. You know, he's one of the ones, me and the guy who did Spider-Man, he and I were the ones that kind of got together on it because they ticketed him, me, they warned me not to ever come back again. So I wrote. Art should be among the people, you know, so people can really enjoy it instead of having just those who can afford to see it. So it's kind of like, just get out here and have fun with it. You know? One thing I've noticed about Knoxville is there's a higher respect here for it. I lived here for 18 years, moved away for 11 and came back, just been here a little over a couple of years. And even in that time span, I've seen a difference in it. You know, there's a little bit more respect for it, there's an appreciation for it than when I first started doing it here. You know, and so comparing it, I was in another city just the other night.